So the whole point of Afrinique-Chic as a whole is to get to a point where being yourself and being African is not something you have to make an excuse for.
And can we all put our hands together for Aurelie?
First of all, thank you all for coming, but also thank you for coming looking like yourselves, your fabulous selves. So give yourselves a round of applause, first of all. As you know, this month is Heritage Month, but that's not so much what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is the fact that every day and every month should be your Heritage Day and your Heritage Month, right? So the whole point of Afrinique-Chic is basically you as an individual changing your mindset to self-acceptance, basically. It's great to live in a world where society has created a certain standard of life, a certain expectation in terms of what is luxury, what is right, what is wrong, what is cool, what is kosher. But having done all this, they didn't really consider the African continent, right? I think it's safe to say it's great to go into a mall and you don't find your size. It fits you great here. And then it's like, no, like a struggle, right? Why is that? Because we kind of live in a society of fashion that doesn't really think of us. Does that make sense? And I'm not trying to politicize things. It's got nothing to do with politics, but I'm a strong believer in you having to find your own identity and speak about your identity through what you wear. And what you wear is essentially how you feel. Am I wrong? At least with women. I'm not a guy, so I know with women it's how we feel. Our mood judges what we wear. But most importantly, that also gives you confidence. That gives you a sense of empowerment. When you wear a certain something, you feel like, oh, I can go into this room and close the deal, right? But why should we not feel like that every day? Can anyone tell me? No? You should feel like that every day because, number one, you're a queen, you're a king, but you're descendants of hard workers who gave blood, sweat, and God knows what else to create the world we live in today. Not necessarily at the state it's in, that's our fault, but to leave us a legacy that we could be proud of. And that legacy that we could be proud of is hold your head up high, walk up straight, be kosher to everyone, be open, educate yourself and educate others. Empower yourself so you can empower the whole. That's the legacy they gave us, right? Unfortunately, it's a legacy we're now losing, sadly for us, because if you ask, especially our young generations, where do you come from? They will reply in English and then say Pretoria. Where do you actually come from? And most of us don't know the answer. But does that not mean you're missing a quarter of your identity? So if you don't know who you are or where you came from, who can you really be? How hard should you push? Why should you push? Why should anyone listen to you if you don't listen to yourself? So the whole point of Afrinique-Chic as a whole is to get to a point where being yourself and being African is not something you have to make an excuse for. It's not something you have to go in and say, oh, what's the occasion? I woke up like this. That should be the reasoning, right? Because I'm African, so this is who I am. I shouldn't have to explain to you why I want to wear a traditional suit. It's still a suit, so I'm still looking appropriate. But I'm sure a lot of us have worn our traditional to work and got asked if it's a special occasion. But why does it have to be a special occasion to be myself? But no one ever asks me why I'm wearing jeans, because that's not an African thing, right? So the idea is to change our own mindsets. When you change your mindset in terms of who you are, what you value, why you value it, and make no excuse about it, what can't you do? So the whole idea is, let's get to a point where together we can educate ourselves about who we are, because it's an African continent. I'm not talking about just South Africa. And South Africa is an extremely diverse place, right? What's the slogan of the country? Can anyone tell me? United by your diversity, isn't it? Why is that? Because South Africa is made out of different components. It could basically be Africa's slogan. But instead of focusing so much in our diversities, why aren't we elevating our similarities? Because in essence, we are the same people, are we not? We all kind of have lobola. In different ways, but we all have it. We eat similar foods. So when you cut yourself, we all bleed. So where is the difference? So should the narrative be about the difference or empowering the similarities so we can move forward together? So the whole point of Afrinique-Chic is to get back to the point where let's recapture the spirit of Ubuntu in essence. And that means bettering the individual with knowledge and empowerment in order to better the whole and vice versa so we can move forward together to an Africa that is designed by Africans for Africans and the rest of the world, and have them accept that, and that should be the new world order. Because unfortunately for us, we're the only continent on earth that's referred to as a trend, which I find semi-disrespectful, because a trend in essence is something that comes and goes. And the last time I checked, we don't disappear off and off on the map, am I right? So why should we be referred to as something that's nonsensical? That's basically what we're being told, but no one else is referred to as that. But if we had to take it all the way back to reality, everybody is technically a trend except for Africa. Because to have a luxury product, you need Africa, you get that from here. Everything that was built in the world was built by African hands, African blood, African sweat. So why and who are you to move into a place and not be proud of who you are? Being African is not a color thing. It's not about race. It's not about sexuality. It's about spirituality. It's about working together. It's about cohesiveness. It's about finding talent in each other and coming together to create something beautiful that speaks to everyone. Hence, ta-da, fashion, right? What does fashion do? It speaks to you. And it speaks to others. And it tells others who you are, how you feel, how you consider yourself, right? So why should your garments not be your garments of change? Why should they not push your agenda forward? Why should they not tell us what you're trying to do and why you're trying to achieve it? So with Afrinique-Chic, what we try to do, especially with the youth and with people in and around us, is to come together to create something beautiful, but also to force you to become a creative and not just sit there with a sense of self-entitlement. The world was not made to be your oyster. It was made for you to work hard to create your own oyster within the bigger oyster, right? So, when is enough enough? Why did we get to the state we're in, specifically in this country, which is very hurtful, because the diversity of South Africa is Africa. South Africa is Africa within Africa, and Africa is South Africa. I'm sure our ancestors are rolling around in their graves, just like, oh my gosh, this generation. Because how did they fought hard to get us to that point. And if you think about it, it wasn't that long ago. We were pretty much coming out of school when liberation happened. What have we done in a span of less than 35 years? Can you imagine what we'll be leaving our kids? So whose job is it to teach the lessons? Whose job is it to teach self-worth? Whose job is it to teach worth ethic? It's our job. We have to employ interns. We have to show them skills. We have to share. We have to collaborate. We have to give them a vision and a drive, but also not give them excuses for why they shouldn't be doing it. It's great to tell people go and study, but in a system where there's not much to do after studying, what must then happen? Where do they go for their questions? Who do they speak to? No one, because we're all too busy. But that's not, in essence, Ubuntu, right? Because Ubuntu is about encouraging and helping and coming together. Hence the Afrinique-Chic and the Steam Manor collaboration. The Afrinique-Chic and Johan Potter, my stunning, stunning work husband. He's over there at the back loitering. Darling, there you go, there she is. And that's why it's so important, because it's good to speak a big game, but you need to lead by example and lead by actually living it. So this stunning man is an Afrikaans gentleman, but he is a giver. And I'm a Congolese-born girl, raised in South Africa, consider myself a Pan-Africanist, and we bring in two very different mindsets, two very different ways of doing things and understanding things, but you still manage to create something beautiful. We have interns that come here and you just see sparkles in their eyes. Not because you're paying them, but because you're paying attention to them. You're helping them achieve their dreams. You're showing them the way. It's not rocket science. It just requires a little bit of time, a little bit of motivation. Why should we then not all be doing that to move our Pan-African agenda forward? Because then we all win. If we all win, is there a problem? I think so. It just comes back into your mindset. It's your mindset, essentially. Every problem starts from your mind and from your insides and works its way out, right? So what I'm trying to do is from your outside, work your way in and fix that so that the rest kind of comes together. So in a nutshell, that's what we're trying to do at Afrinique-Chic, but we want to get to a point where we can collaborate with everyone. Everyone has something to give. Whether you're a chef, whether you're another student helping another student, a designer, a hairstylist, a makeup artist, you have a responsibility to help. What a wonderful Mohale who's busy riding over there, he's wearing the hat. Wave to us, darling.
Hey.
Yes. What he's doing is phenomenal too, because no one asked him to do it. But he just said, you know what, I have a drive to help young people. I have a drive to help others. That drive usually comes to because you either A, didn't get help, or you got help and it got you to where you needed to get. Life is about two sides of a coin, but we have to choose which side we want to be. And as Africans, should we not then choose to be ourselves? And therefore it's not so difficult to help others, therefore helping yourself. Because if you help someone, you're actually helping yourself. If everybody's well off, there's less people calling you, so we don't have bread, can you send me 100 rand? No girl, I sent you 100 rand yesterday. That won't happen because everybody's out here winning. So thrive together to push the agenda forward. And that's what fashion does. Our garments change and they effect change, and we hope to effect mental, mindful, spiritual, and external change. That's basically what we try to do. We design very differently because we have the actual human being in mind. We have the actual spirituality of a person in mind. You are what you wear, not because of who made it, but because of what you project through your garment. So that's basically what we're trying to do at Afrinique-Chic, and we want all of you to be mindful of what you're trying to do with your own life agenda, and keep your spirit of Ubuntu in mind when you're doing that. Today, I couldn't have done all this if I didn't have wonderful people who believed in collaboration, who believed in change and the betterment of Africa. I mean, like I said, Lustine Manor in and of itself. We have phenomenal people here, from the shooting hub, to Fafa Makeup, to Johan Buerta, Heine Grayling, Rudolph, the Royal Olive Cafe. We have a hair salon here. All made of different people from different walks of life, but who understand one thing. We love to make people feel good about themselves, because when you feel good about yourself, your mind feels good, your spirit feels good, therefore you're an effective member of society, right? So why should we not all be living like that, even if you're not running a business, even with your friends, even with your neighbors? We unfortunately now live in a world where we don't even know who our neighbors are. You just see a new moving truck. I swear they moved here yesterday. No, we've been here for 10 years. I'm like, oh. We should feel some type of way, right? Why are we like that? That's not the spirit of Ubuntu. That's not what we are in essence as Africans. So the whole point of the brand is to bring you back to that, and to instill in our youth, because they are our future, and we are the present. So we have a responsibility. Our ancestors and those elders that now did their job. They paved the way, they fought, but now the rest is on us. And what are we doing with it? How are we changing the narrative? How are we making the world listen to Africans if we're working on someone else's world order? Am I making sense? So it's about recapturing who you are and being in the industry of conscious fashion. Conscious fashion means you dress yourself being aware of yourself. Does that make sense? So that's what we are at Afrinique-Chic, and that's what we try to achieve. And I just want to thank all my wonderful collaborators, and I wish they were all here to stand in front of me, but those who are here should probably come up here and stand in front of me. But thank you so much, Johan, apple of my eye, and our partner over there, our mutual husband, Willie, and thank you, darling. And Mohali, my darling, thank you so, so much. Rudolph, wherever he is, thank you. And Fafa, who did this, by the way. He's a phenomenal gentleman. Thank you so much. To our wine sponsors, thank you, what would I do without you? But also Batu Shoes, who makes amazing, amazing, amazing African shoes, but also with a purpose. It's about giving back. And I just want to say thank you to every one of you who took the time out of your lives, out of your busy schedules to come here, because this is you giving me hope that the spirit of Ubuntu still exists, because you believe in supporting. So thank you so much for coming. I hope you experience the beautiful lifestyle, which is what we're trying to show you in this building. Please walk around, go upstairs where the dessert is, experience the atelier, and look at these gorgeous models that we have here that are wearing specific messages, but also it's great to look at a beautiful gown, but fashion has a responsibility, and that is not just to empower the individual, but also motivate and elevate the actual problems that we have going on in life. That is our responsibility, just like music. So each woman has an important message, and I want you guys to let that sink in, and then take that with you and try to see how you can make a difference in terms of that message. It doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be massive, it doesn't need to be posted on Instagram, it could just be for you. But actually have that affect a change in you, so that it can affect a change in those around you. So thank you so much, enjoy the food, and oh, King Chef, by the way, he's over there with the nice haircut. We want you to experience beautiful Congolese food, so please dig in, enjoy it. You've tasted some of the South African vibe, now you taste your Congolese vibe, and we hope to do this at least on an annual basis, and we will feature different African countries and have different networking sessions, because the whole point is to get people in the room and get them talking where you wouldn't normally talk, right? And realize, oh, hold on, that makes sense, or I do this and I do that, that goes hand in hand, why aren't we doing things together? So that's the whole point of the Afrinique-Chic movement and legacy. So thank you so, so much for coming and being part of the movement, and I hope, when I call, you will pick up the phone and be like, what can we do, right? Okay, awesome. So thank you so much, and I'll give this in the